Good day and welcome to Open Studio on Cape Town TV. I'm Tabitha and again we are joined by Myrtle Witbooi from the Salt River Community House. Hello Myrtle, thank you for being here again today. Could you perhaps start with a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Well, my name is Myrtle Witbooi and I am the General Secretary of the South African Domestic Workers Union. And I think I should also mention that I am the President of the International Domestic Workers Federation for domestic workers in the world.
Fantastic, beautiful. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about the building, Community House building. Before, I think it was a dilapidated industrial type building. Could you tell us a little bit more about the history of that building?
I think the issue of that building, like we mentioned before, the issue was about where women, especially women that time, because women was always oppressed, women was always silenced in the apartheid years, we were never allowed to voice our opinion. So the idea was, because that building belonged to the white Afrikaner woman, the idea was that when they wanted to sell this building, they feel it must be sold, but women should actually be in control of that building, with the realizing that when they come to speak to us, they're talking about the vulnerable woman, which is domestic workers and farm workers. But at that stage, we didn't actually, organize farm workers yet. We were mostly organizing domestic workers and factory workers. So what happened is when we start in 1985, we start talking about it. We've got this land now, we've got this building, but it's a very old building. On the one side was only the old building. And then we said, but now we need to get other people to get involved in this building. And but the aim was domestic workers should be part of this building because they are the most vulnerable sector. And then, of course, we start talking. I've had a different general secretary that time, and at that stage, our union was the South African Domestic Workers Union. It was a great achievement because we were not allowed to have unions in that stages because, every time you form a union, they banned you on sex and so. But we were very serious about it. And then we start talking and we decide, yes, okay, we will move into the building. And then the whole one side of the building belonged to the domestic sector. And of course, the rental was very low because the Swedish aid was paying for the building. And then slowly but surely other unions moved in. But the whole aim was, it was in the community of Salt River, and it should serve also the community of Salt River. The building was also used a lot afterwards for weddings. It was used for, people having functions. But slowly but surely, we didn't want the people to get the wrong impression of Community House. We want them to understand it is a struggle building.
So how long did it take to renovate the building and design further?
From 1985, 1984 and 1985 and 1986, they start working on the building. 1986, I still remember how we used to put on that hard hat and how we used to walk in the building and how yes, that was a hard hat. And unfortunately, the guy that was very much involved, Barry Street, he died a couple of years ago. The one guy that was also very active is Gordon Young. He's still alive. So we used to be on this working committee, the building committee, and then once a month we go and inspect the building and we see that everything, because the whole one side of community is new and the other side is just that it was a very strong building, so they just touch up. So that was the side that we moved in all the unions. All the unions decide, maybe at that stage it was a wrong decision, that all the political and the unions should be on the one side and the churches should be on the other side. Maybe it was just what they needed to target the building because we were all on one side. So if they destroy the building. So that was how it happened. So, we all moved in after the building. We had a big ceremony. We opened the building. We had a fun day here to come and be there. And everybody feel happy. It was our home now. It was like a home away from home.
Yes, absolutely.
We had a restaurant there. If people come in there, you can have a cup of coffee and things like that.
So very homely environment.
It was sad also because we had to discuss many issues there. It was also sad because we were poor unions. look, workers couldn't afford to pay for unions. So we were poor unions, we had no money, we had no support. But it was like, if you have something to eat, you're going to share it with the other. So the unions used to start putting their resources together and share whatever we have. Lunches was shared. And the meals that was sold very cheaply so that people could afford the meal.
So there wasn't any living quarters there. It was just a place to go to. Nobody was sort of living in that building. From Community House?
Yes.
Were they living there as well? Was there accommodation?
No. The Community House was simply just a building. Yes, there was in our minds, in the front there where the parking is now, we were going to have like a flat. And there was going to be a few flats. So when we have people coming over and when people come and stay there, because there is showers in Community House, then people would have sleep over the night. You didn't have to pay because it's a struggle.
Yes.
But it didn't work out. And then slowly but surely we put a big mural on the wall now where the flat was going to be. But the idea was that we wanted to have actually a place where people in the struggle, if they are, or sometimes, you have to hide people or something.
Yes.
And Community House was like a peaceful community, not so peaceful though. And that is how it was. But it never materialized that we had a flat or thing like that. Of course, the manager of the Community House, they had a house. They built a little house in the front. And the manager of Community House, they used to stay on the premises because we had to have a manager and his wife staying there, and then of course the security at the gate. We had our own security. We also didn't believe in getting security that was hired because the people were to be trained to know this is also a political building. This is a building where we're going to talk about freedom. This is a building where even the ANC will meet. And here's a building that leaders will be born at.
Absolutely. Thank you, Myrtle. We're off to a quick ad break. Be back after these. Welcome back to Open Studio. I'm Tabitha and we have Myrtle in studio today from the Salt River Community House. Myrtle, let's dig deep into the bombings, or the bombing that happened at Community House. I think it was 8 days after you guys had been there. What actually happened?
Yeah, I think that, because the building was now the Western Province Church Council, the building, which is very political. They were very political. They always spoke out about the prostate. They were in the one side. Then there was also the Cape Housing League that was in the one side. All people that was in the community, but that was talking about the injustice. Then this side we had all the unions like COSATU, which was the federation. We had the transport union. We had the Food and Allied Workers Union. So all of us, and TSAWU, we were all on one side. So every union, every office had its own bathroom and things like that. So because TSAWU, the Domestic Workers Union, has their own big center, we were so excited. And I remember 5 days, it was 5 days afterwards, it was a Friday, and we go clean the toilet, and we were sweeping and very happy. Midnight, the same Friday, 5 days after we moved in. And we got a call. That time there was no cell phones, it was home lines and things like that, to say, we're picking you up, the building has been bombed. But now you think anything. Thank God there was no people in the building. The security was at the gate. And thank God at that time the security didn't walk in the building. They were still at the gate. Which means that nobody came into the building at that time. Obviously the bombs would have been there. Now at that time they called it a limpet mine. So the building was bombed. Our ceiling was coming down. When we started cleaning up, when we looked, the tears was down our eyes. And then our political people come in. It was Alan Busak, it was Tutu, it was Trevor Manu, all of them came now. And we're all looking at this building, this beautiful building, and we're all scared that in a few minutes the building will collapse. And we're asking questions. But prior to that, the 5 days, only in that middle of the week we had one visit from the security police coming into the gate and coming just to check. Now they come and check if you have political papers and things like that. But TSAWU was always in the middle, so TSAWU always makes sure that the political books of people are always hidden under our desk or things like that.
Okay.
And what happened is that when this happened, we had a feeling, but also in our mind is, if that bomb was planted on the Friday, how did the person come? Because all of us had to stand at the gate. Everyone had to stand.
Attendance.
Whether you work in the building, you had a name tag, it says where you work. If you're a visitor, you stand at the building and you get a tag for a visit. What happened? We don't know. So when the bomb went off, nobody was now sure. People were crying, to start praying there, and Alan Busak started, because they were very strong. It was very sad for us.
So what about the investigation of it?
Yeah, no. Now you call the very police, the security police. They come and they start looking at the building. They had the dogs there. And then I was standing by them and I just asked them, because it's only our side that was bombed, where was this bomb? They said, come. They were Afrikaans. Let's show you.
Yeah.
They showed me there. I said, you know what, I was cleaning in the inside there. He said, no, while you were cleaning inside, the bomb was already got its timing on the outside. The bomb was there. I said, okay, so which means if we, for a reason, had a midnight meeting, and the thing was like that, maybe that's what we were thinking. Maybe that's what they were thinking, that because we knew in the building, we're going to have midnight meetings. Because now we're going to have midnight meetings to talk about the ANC that must be unbanned, people that must come back. So maybe we were going to have, so a lot of people would have been in that building. Thank God the security was. And they were really trying to break our spirit. And then, we start touching up the front part, we start fixing it. Thank God the building was insured. The building was insured. The Swedish Aid made sure that we insured the building. So we touch up the building and things like that. But after that, every second day, every third day, we have a visit of the security. They come by the gate and there's no respect. They don't respect. They just come in. They go to the offices. They throw out your stuff. They check what papers you have and things like that. They start, but only our side. They never really watch. And then afterwards, they start now going to the church side because they realize. But the strange part of that is, just after the bombing of our building, 10 days later, they bombed Kotze House, which also had the church and also had in Johannesburg.
You think that's related?
It was connected, yeah, it was connected. And the lady that was supposed to come here today, she was actually involved in the Kotze House. Now, she was also in the building with us, for meetings. So, but they thought now, that is it. They are showing us their power. And because we were a lot of women, we didn't let them show them our power. We just said, we are here. Not so much, domestic workers. It was political in a way that we were oppressed by the employer. But it was also political in a way that we wanted freedom. That we also, at that stage, as a domestic worker, you could not speak to your employer. You could not even say to your employer, I want a better room, I want a better place of food. No, you have to be quiet. And I think that is what I wanted to break. That spirit that, just watch out. And so we didn't listen. After that, a delegation of us went out to Lusaka, to meet Oliver Tambo them and to explain to them. And they were saying to us, don't stop, carry on with the fight. And that's how Community House remain have the spirit of the workers and starting to have worker meetings and educating domestic workers. All workers, talk about your rights, talk about wages, talk about decent hours and things like that. That's where it was actually born.
And we're going to dig into that after this break. Thank you, Myrtle. We're off to a quick ad break. Be back after these. Welcome back to Open Studio. We have Myrtle from the Salt River Community House in studio again today. Myrtle, let's chat about the Domestic Workers Association. What does it actually mean and how are you a part of it? Could you explain a bit more?
Okay, I think that if I really want to say something about my involvement in the struggle is that in the years, in the 67, I find myself being a domestic worker because of, they have problem to give you identity. Who are you? You're not white enough to be white. You're not black enough to be black. So I wanted to go and study nursing, and they had problems giving me an ID. What happened is I ended up being a domestic worker. And I think I was working for 2 months for the employer, and because I was educated, the employer was saying something to me, and I asked her, why is it that you just telling me? She said, oh, you know, Murthy, she used to call me Murthy, there's no law for domestic workers. So I said, okay. And I just kept quiet. And then a month later, we used to have our own newspaper, the Colored Community, or that. There was a newspaper advert to say, domestic workers are so stupid, domestic workers can't even think for themselves. And I answered this newspaper, and I said, what do you mean we are stupid? We are human beings, we got a brain. And this guy, he's a big reporter today, he come to the door and he started looking for a servant. I opened the door, he asked the servant, he asked, where's the maid? I said, what are you looking for? I think the person got the name. He said, the name is Myrtle. I said, so why are you looking for all? I said, you know, this is about you people. Even you, our own people, you took that. And then he said to me, but did you write a letter? I said, do you think my employer wrote that letter? And what happened? He became my best friend. But what happened then? He said to me, look, you spoke out about injustice. And he said, I want to call a meeting. And he called a meeting for us in Salt River, but not in that hall. And at this meeting, there was about 350 domestic workers, and it's my first time now because he wanted me to ask the workers how they feel. And I'll never forget that night. We had 3-piece uniforms on, we had dookies on our head, the domestic workers. We were like slaves walking into that hall in Salt River. Everybody had a different color uniform on. And I was standing in front and looking at all these workers. And they're looking at me, and I said, hello, I'm a domestic worker just like you.
Same.
Why are we feeling sorry? And that's where I am today. That very day it started. The awareness of why are we different as women. I might work for you, but I'm a woman. And my employer said to me, Myrtle, I don't want to lose you. Use my garage. And we start, on the Sunday afternoon, we're only off 3 hours. We sit and talk. And we start talking about domestic workers, about our families. And there I discovered domestic workers can't read and write. And I said, what? They say yes. And the word spread that there's a domestic worker in that street that can read and write. So on a Sunday afternoon for the 3 hours, we used to do A, B, C, and I used to start trying. Then the Catholic Church heard about what I'm doing, and the Catholic Church invited me in observatory. Please, Myrtle, can you come there with also domestic workers? And there the awareness starts. We are no different than other women. We have got brains. God has given us good brains. And every time something happened, I questioned. I said, no. I stayed with that family for 13 years. And I moved away from the family, forming an organization for domestic workers. That time we were in Cape Town, we call ourselves Domestic Workers Association. And we started educating domestic workers. At that time, domestic workers was only earning 80 rand, 60 rand.
Per hour?
No, a month, my dear.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
I earned 34 rand a month by my employer. And that is how we start talking about. That time we had a minister, white minister, Pity du Plessis. We went to stand there and labor on the steps demanding a decent salary of 110 rand. They said, no, how can we pay domestic workers that? You're only cleaning houses. We said, okay, we're only cleaning houses. We're going to show you something. And we start mobilizing domestic workers. We got involved in the struggle. We got involved in the politics. Several times I was locked up just because I went to a home or I went to mobilize domestic workers. Then they would lock me up, throw me in a van, take me to the police station. You're not allowed to organize domestic workers. You're not. But we show them. And then we form our own union, SADU. And that was the part of us. But what are we actually doing? We are teaching the domestic worker to know her rights. We are teaching domestic worker, you are a woman just like that woman, and we are teaching a woman to feel proud of what she is. You don't have to feel, and you know sometimes our children, they go to university. How did you get to university? They don't want to say my mother's a domestic worker. And I go to some of the university and I say, you should be proud that your mother is a domestic worker and today you get educated because of your mother's life. My children are proud. I've been a domestic worker, I've been a single mother after I got divorced, but they're all educated today. Where does it come from? So I'm saying, and that is why we were so glad when we had this opportunity, because Community House was offering now domestic workers to be educated. So once a week, once a month, we come together, we teach domestic workers about their rights. We fought for the rights that all labor laws that we've got today, we fought together with other people so that we lock up the Minister of Labour. We chain ourselves to the gates of Parliament to show them the power that we have. Today, yes, we have many labor laws. We've got a lot of labor laws in South Africa, but it's on a paper. It's on a beautiful paper. So if we're not taking that paper and doing something for the domestic worker, because she's a woman, we also teach the domestic workers, you don't have to feel that's a woman in Parliament and I'm a domestic worker. We take them to these meetings, and in these meetings, you are going to talk. You don't have to feel scared for that woman. Today, the Minister of Labour, she used to be with me. We used to have hands together, so many of them. We used to, but today, do they think about those women? Because it's through that woman that they are where they are today. The domestic worker used to vote for ANC. The domestic workers union made money available so that we can be part of the struggle. But if we look in reality today, if we're not going to keep what we've got, we're going to lose it.
Absolutely.
So it's important that the domestic workers must realize they are a domestic worker, but they're also a woman, they're a mother. And that is the whole aim of. And that is why we're hoping that Community House will keep that spirit. It's not about business. It's about educating people. It's about educating workers. It's about having meetings of how we can better the lives of women outside. And for me, it remains a challenge. When we decided that domestic workers is so strong, we decided to come together in the world to form one international federation. I was humble and I was honored to be chosen to lead this federation. I led this federation now for 5 years, November, in Community House. The very building where I got, where I've been, they choose me again to lead it shows you what comes out of Community House. It shows you the spirit we have in Community House. People that came there in November, they said they feel that this is a building of activists. They feel so proud that they could have this international meeting in Community House. And I said to Joa, it's now Community House is going into the world. That is where strong leaders was born. That is where strong women are.
Absolutely.
And that is the spirit we must keep. And that is how we should, maintain Community House.
Thank you, Myrtle. Tell us quickly, what is your website address? Or do you have a Facebook page, perhaps?
The other Facebook page is just say Satsawu, and then we are open on Facebook. You just can go in Satsawu, and you also can, contact us.
Google it.
Yes, they can contact us
Salt River
at Community House. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much for
It's a
being
pleasure.
here. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of this show. Thank you to our viewers for watching. From me, Tabitha, till next time on Open Studio, it's goodbye.